And thanks so much for tuning into the Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth. We are continuing answering your questions from a biblical perspective. Last week, by the way, which I want to encourage you, which I know that I normally do on Saturday, but today's Thursday. But I want to encourage you to come this Sunday. It is an amazing Sunday. We've got graduation Sunday. Several of our seniors are graduating, and then 6 people are choosing to declare their faith publicly through water baptism. It's going to be an amazing celebration Sunday, so you're not going to want to miss this Sunday. So if you haven't made plans, I know it's a holiday weekend, but if you can make it in person, it's not the same. I mean, it's great that you can watch online, but you can never replace being in person. So if you can make it in person, Shrewsbury Assembly Sunday, 10:15. Okay. All right. So that's my little plug there. So today's question is this: was Christ also Melchizedek in the Bible? So where do we see that? We see that in Genesis chapter 14. That's when Abraham first meets Melchizedek, and that was after his defeat. And he was a weary man. He was just broken at that point. We see Melchizedek coming and bringing some refreshments to Abraham, and really symbolizes some friendship right there, and to build him up when he was down. Abraham gives a tenth of some things that he has, and the question is, was Melchizedek Christ? Meaning, was he the pre-incarnate of Christ? There's definitely biblical evidence to that. I can't solidify or concretely or 100% say that Melchizedek was Christ, because obviously I wasn't there. We can see some biblical evidence of that. If you read through Psalm 110, I want to encourage you to do that. That is a messianic psalm, and it mentions Christ and Melchizedek in that, and is represented as Melchizedek as a type of Christ. You can read Matthew chapter 22, verse 43. And so if you see that, and if it's mentioned several times, then you know it's there on purpose. And so if it was the priesthood of Melchizedek is a representation of Christ, meaning that the priesthood would last forever, which that was mentioned also. You can read Hebrews chapters 5, 6, and 7, mention that. And so we can see some evidence here of your question: was Melchizedek the pre-incarnate of Jesus? We could, definitely argue to say yes, that is, because there is certain biblical evidence of that, to say that the priesthood of Melchizedek would last forever. Well, obviously, if it was just a regular priest, he would come and go, right? There would be a life leadership of the priesthood, and then he would die, and then the next person would become a priest. But the fact that it was said that way, we can see that also. We see Abraham, I believe it's in Genesis, I have it written down, Genesis 17 and 18, where Abraham sees God, Yahweh, in a form of a man, which would be another Christophany. That's the theological word of the pre-incarnate of Jesus. And so to see that happening again, it could definitely be, well, Melchizedek is the pre-incarnate of Jesus. So hopefully that brings some clarity to your question. Again, I can't fully 100% guarantee that Melchizedek was the pre-incarnate of Jesus, but there is definitely biblical evidence to say that there is a strong evidence to say that he was. So again, hopefully that brings some clarity. What does that mean for us today? What that means for us today is that God always shows up, and he meets our need. Like you see that, like that's because, as you guys know, hopefully you know this, I'm all about application. I'm all about how can we bring the Bible to life, because it's living and active. And what does that mean for us today? So the fact that to say, yes, Melchizedek was the pre-incarnate of Jesus, that just shows that God cares about each and every single one of us, just like he cares about Abraham and showing up the way that he did. God wants to show up in your life. I don't know if you're feeling weary, if you're feeling broken when Abraham did back when he first saw Melchizedek. I know this, that God wants to reveal himself to you. He wants to bring life. He wants to encourage you. He wants to wrap his arms around you. So would you allow that to happen today? Would you go to him in your needs and your brokenness? And would you find healing? Would you find restoration? Would you find a peace that passes all understanding as you choose to go after him today? As you choose to welcome him in your life, as you choose to spend a quality time with him today. Let that be an encouragement to you today. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you tune tomorrow for the Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth.